Here now, jury consultant Richard Gabriel. He's also the president of Decision Analysis Litigation Strategy. As you listen to some of the questions that the jury wants more specifically defined in this case, what does that lead you to believe as to what they're hung up on?
Well, I'm not sure they're actually hung up. I mean, jurors can be very methodical and they can go through the evidence. This is what we would call an evidence-based deliberations as opposed to a verdict driven, which is just let's get a sense of hands here. And they may just be methodically going through all the evidence in the case. The justification aspect, the use of the videos really highlights to me that sometimes these jurors want to actually do a recreation and get to the point of, is the force justified throughout here? At what point does it maybe not become justified? So they're struggling with these legal definitions and what would a reasonable person do, i.e. Somebody like themselves in a situation like this? Do they see that there's still an imminent threat that Daniel Penning could be experiencing at that point, which would justify the force? So I think they're methodically working for it, but there also may be some division within the group too. There might be some jurors that are just not convinced that one way or the other, and that way they have to work it out and try and get those pieces of evidence to try and persuade those.
Every case is different. Every piece of evidence is different. But is there a norm as far as how long it takes a jury typically to deliberate? The longer it takes, who does it benefit the most?
Well, the longer it goes, obviously, it can indicate more division, and the hung jury is something that the defense is always trying to count on here, because obviously a unification verdict tends to favor the prosecution. But that being said, it depends on the personalities and the dynamic in the jury room. Who are the opinion leaders, and how do they work with each other? How well persuaded are they? How do jurors get fatigued maybe and kind of say, all right, I'm gonna get convinced at this point. So it really, the longer it goes, obviously it does favor a hung jury, but also they may be working toward maybe a lesser included charge or a verdict on one of the lesser counts.
So they've got to decide between the manslaughter charge and the negligent homicide. Of the two, are they more likely to go with negligent homicide, understanding that there was a threat, people were scared, but he went too far. He didn't mean to do it. And then the second question to that, Richard, would be how pivotal is his own answers in the Q&A with investigators in that room going to play into that?
Well, I think it is important. Jurors are looking at character. They're looking at, what is the intent of the defendant, and so his answers indicate what was his intent at the time, even though he can't even tell you exactly what he's thinking and how he's feeling. So his demeanor can be important there. The lesser charge always is a negotiating point. If some people are like, no, this is absolutely that manslaughter second degree, they can go, if they just can't convince it, at least they can negotiate to the lesser charge on that. So it allows the jury some play to kind of go, okay, we can't agree on the most significant charge, but at least we can get some agreement. Sometimes it does end up that way.
The jury wants to get it right. I mean, this is a person's life was lost, a person's life is on the line and jail time. But we're also in December. We're approaching the holiday season. We just had Thanksgiving. Christmas isn't that far off. It's a Friday. We're going into the weekend. What do you think is likely to happen logistically? Do they take the weekend and come back on Monday, or do they want to get it done?
Typically, jurors want to get that verdict done by Friday. They want to have conclusion. It's the end of the week. There can be a signal that this is what they want to complete. It has been several days, so I wouldn't be surprised if we had a verdict today. The holidays, I mean, they really do take it incredibly seriously. So if they need to take more time, sometimes jurors will say, you know what? We're still not quite there. Let's take the weekend to think about it, and then just kind of mull it over and then come back on Monday and make sure that we are clear on exactly where we want to go with this. So they're careful. We're close to the holidays, but we're not that close. So I think they're going to make sure that they get it right.
Yeah, sometimes sleeping on it for a night can provide some clarity. Richard Gabriel, as always, taking us inside the head of jurors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.